A little piece of me died as a tear rolled down my face and dripped onto the cold, grainy pavement. I couldn't move. I couldn't make a single sound, no matter how hard I tried. I heard sirens ringing all around me, and my entire body was burning up. I screamed for help, but the only thing that came out was a small breath of air. I'd laid there for hours, forcing myself to remember how I ended up here. Then it slowly came back to me. I remember the sounds of people screaming, sirens going off, and explosions all around me as a war zone woke me up. Sweat rolled down my entire body, and the more I sat up, the more I knew I had to get out of there. I immediately got up and fled my house, running as far and fast as I could, trying to escape from it all. I ran until the sounds were far behind me as a distant crackle. But just as I got away and found the slightest bit of peace, my entire body began burning up. It got so bad, I finally ran out of energy and collapsed on the floor. It was like I was teleported to an entirely new place. I'd hear screams again, but it sounded more like shrieks. I didn't know why it was happening or who was hurting them. All the while, I felt like I was a puppet with strings attached and someone was pulling on my limbs while crushing them together at the same time. I realized the shrieking screams were coming from me. I begged for someone, anyone, to just please stop the pain. At some point, I finally accepted that this was the end, and no matter how far I'd run from it all, it would always catch up to me. And just like that, it was like I was teleported somewhere else. This time, I wasn't running. I was dropped dead in my tracks. The sirens were still ringing all around me, but not from outside. It was coming from within my head, between my ears, and then silence. I couldn't hear a single sound. Not my own voice, the sirens, or even the wind. I opened my eyes and saw homes lined up down the street, but I had no idea where I was. I couldn't have run this far, could I? Did I? Was I sleepwalking? That's impossible. My head hurt so bad, and I had these pulsating jolts of electricity constantly shocking me between my temple. Every time I felt a jolt, my vision and entire mind would temporarily black out, and I'd forget where I was and my last thought. Somehow, I managed to keep my mind strong enough to focus on my body. My heart was still thumping as I laid flat on the sidewalk, and I'd feel a light wetness on my face. Little spits of water fell from the sky, and at that moment, the cold water captivated my mind. Finally, the sound of a passing car snapped me out of my trance. This time, fear consumed me. I tried to get up, but I couldn't move. I was completely paralyzed and could barely breathe. A parked car blocked my vision of the road as I heard cars driving by. I hoped someone would see me peeking through beneath the car and help me, or someone would come out of their house and see me, but no one did. I cried on that pavement with my tears filling beneath my cheek and my face pressed against the cold, hard pavement. I began feeling fear and panic as I thought about the things I'd never get to enjoy anymore. And then I thought about my mother. What would she feel when she opened my bedroom door and found an empty bed where her daughter used to be? That very thought gave me enough energy to move forward towards the road. I could only move my upper body, so I clawed and dragged my body across the pavement. I was so close to the road now that I could feel the wind rush by whenever a car passed me. I cried and frantically waved my arm using every ounce of energy, every piece of my entire body to get a driver's attention. Eventually, a taxi stopped and helped me into his car. He called an ambulance and took me into the hospital where my mother was waiting for me. I wasn't too badly injured and somehow only managed a few scrapes from dragging my legs across the concrete. Most important, the doctors figured out that this was all from a single sleeping pill. I suffer from obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD. My OCD causes me to have intrusive thoughts about the end of the world and human civilization falling apart in horrible ways. The sounds of war and of people screaming was my OCD, and I was sleepwalking. For quite some time, my OCD has kept me up at night, so my mom decided that she would go to a chemist and get something to help. The chemist recommended an herbal-based medication to help me relax, and it did. But it also gave me nightmares about the very thing I fear, and then forget about it almost immediately after I'd wake up. I didn't think it was anything to worry about until I ended up on the sidewalk with no clue of where I was. I stopped taking those pills, but because it was still in my system, one night, I managed to hack at my hair while sleeping and ended up shaving my entire head because of it. I finally went to a psychiatrist where he told us that the herbal medications are not tested, and a lot of the times, side effects are unpredictable. A lot of people like to think OCD is all about cleaning or putting things in order, but it can be much more. Now, I take medication that is prescribed for me, and since then, I have been recovering from my OCD. Do you have crazy dreams you like to see drawn and animated? It doesn't matter if they're scary, funny, or creepy. We'd love to animate it and see it come to life. Please click the description down below and submit your story.